Are you constantly worrying about what might happen tomorrow? Do fears of the unknown keep you awake at night? If your answer is yes, even quietly in your own heart, know this: you're not alone. Many of us lie awake, night after night, replaying worries in our heads. The bills that need to be paid. The relationship that feels uncertain. The job that might not be there next month. The pain in our body that won't go away. The world that feels more chaotic with every news headline. Our thoughts spiral, looping through endless what-ifs, as if by worrying enough, we might somehow regain control. But worry doesn't grant us control. It only drains the peace we do have in this moment. And yet, this fear of the unknown is not new. 2,500 years ago, the Buddha sat beneath the Bodhi tree, deeply aware of the same human suffering we experience today. Fear, uncertainty, and the craving for safety, they are part of what it means to be human. And it was because he understood this so deeply that he offered a path out of the suffering. A path not of blind hope, but of inner clarity. Not of trying to control the future, but of learning how to meet each moment with wisdom and compassion. So let me ask again, not as a diagnosis, but as an invitation. What are you afraid might happen tomorrow? Is it failure? Loneliness? Loss? Or perhaps the emptiness of not knowing what your life is even leading toward? The Buddha never promised that pain would vanish. What he did teach was how to stop adding to our own pain through resistance, through fear, through clinging. He taught that suffering arises not from circumstances alone, but from how we relate to them. It is our attachment to certainty, to permanence, to outcomes, that creates the fertile soil for anxiety. But when we let go of that clinging, something miraculous begins to happen. We start to breathe again. Imagine this: instead of chasing a future you can't control, you begin to root yourself in the one thing that's actually real, this present moment. Your breath. Your body. The warmth of sunlight on your skin. The quiet awareness that doesn't judge. Doesn't panic, doesn't run. It simply sees. And in that seeing, you find a softness. A space. A kind of freedom. This is not about pretending everything is okay. It's about learning how to be okay, even when everything isn't. This teaching is what the Buddha called sati, mindfulness. But not mindfulness as a trendy productivity hack. This is mindfulness as a deep remembrance of what is true beneath the chaos. A sacred return to the stillness that has always been there, waiting. So the question is not, will life ever stop being uncertain? The real question is, can I be at peace, even when it is? You don't need to be a monk. You don't need to escape your life or become someone else. Right here, in your very own struggles, is the doorway to awakening. And this channel, the Dharma journey, exists for that exact reason. To walk with you through those doorways. To share the ancient teachings of the Buddha, not as abstract philosophy, but as living, breathing wisdom for your everyday life. To remind you that you are not broken, and you are not alone. That peace is possible, and it begins not in some distant future, but now. In the videos to come, we'll explore how to deal with fear and worry, how to practice letting go, how to cultivate inner calm in a noisy world. We'll dive into Buddhist stories and practical meditations. And we'll reflect on what it means to live not just more peacefully, but more truthfully. Because the truth is, you don't need to control tomorrow. You just need to come home to today. So if this message touches something in you, if it offers even a small sense of relief or recognition, then I invite you to stay with us. Subscribe to the channel. Breathe with us. Reflect with us. This is not a path of perfection, but of presence. And every step you take in awareness is already a step toward freedom. You are not your fears. You are not your anxious thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. And from that awareness, a new way of living becomes possible. Welcome to the Dharma journey. Let's begin. Why do we worry so much about things that haven't happened yet? There's something strange about the human mind. The more we try to control the future, the more we seem to lose our peace in the present. And when peace disappears, worry creeps into every breath, every thought, every gesture of our lives. It's not loud or dramatic, but it's always there, like an underground current, quietly making sure we never truly feel at ease. According to the Buddhist teachings, anxiety isn't just a fleeting emotion, it's a clear sign of a mind that hasn't been trained. And at the root of that anxiety lies one thing: attachment. We are attached to expectations. Attached to a version of the future we believe should unfold. We hope everything will go smoothly, that the people we love won't leave, that our jobs will stay secure, that our bodies will stay strong, that life will go according to plan. But the truth is, none of these things are fully in our control. And the greater our expectations, the deeper our worries. Every time something doesn't go our way, it feels like the world is falling apart. We don't just suffer because of the event, we suffer because our vision of an ideal future has been shattered. And so we start to live in defense mode, constantly bracing for the next blow, as if something bad is just around the corner and we always have to be ready. The sad part is, our worry about the future steals the present from us. We forget how to live, and instead spend all our energy preparing to live. We no longer breathe to feel peace, we breathe just to survive. In Buddhist terms, this attachment is called upadana, the clinging, grasping, and refusal to let go. And from clinging comes suffering. Not because life is cruel, but because the mind is too cramped to let life in. What lies beneath all that attachment? The ego, that part of us that wants to control everything. The ego wants to feel safe. It wants certainty. It wants to be in charge. But life doesn't operate on our terms. It moves with its own rhythm, without asking our permission. Without waiting for us to be ready. And because the ego can't accept this truth, it resists. It struggles. It worries. It becomes dissatisfied. The bigger the ego, the deeper the fear, because there's more at stake. More to lose. We're not afraid of the future. We're afraid of losing the future we imagined. We fear losing money, loved ones, status, health. A sense of control. But we don't realize, none of those things were ever truly ours. They come and go, like clouds passing through the sky. We are merely witnesses. But the ego mistakes itself for the owner. And from that misidentification, anxiety is born. There's something else strange about the mind. It constantly invents scenarios that haven't happened, and then believes they're real. It imagines failure, rejection, heartbreak, abandonment. It imagines things going wrong. And when those images repeat often enough, our heart starts to treat them as reality. In Buddhism, this is called ignorance, not seeing things as they really are. We don't see the present. We only see what the mind imagines about the future. We don't connect with what is, we're trapped in what might be. The ironic thing is, most of what we worry about never happens. They only exist in our heads, like ghosts with no real form. And because we don't realize that, we let the mind run the show. We let these illusions steal our peace and weigh us down, day after day. The Buddha once said, "Anxiety is the state of a mind that wants to control tomorrow. But real life doesn't exist in tomorrow. It's right here. In this breath. This step. This moment passing by. If we learn to stop and look deeply, we'll see. Every fear begins with a loss of connection to the now. Every time our mind drifts away from the present, a seed of anxiety is planted. So to heal our anxiety, we don't need to fix the future. We simply need to return to the present. To learn how to release our expectations, our need for control. And our ego's constant desire to shape reality. To let go, not because we're giving up, but because we're finally mindful enough to see, holding on is what's exhausting us. That's the moment we stop chasing happiness into the future. And instead, we begin to come home, right here, to this very breath. And in that homecoming, a new door begins to open, the root of worry. Resisting the nature of change. Worry often feels like a constant companion, lurking in the background, whispering, what if, or what will happen to me? But beneath these anxious thoughts lies a much deeper cause. From a Buddhist perspective, worry is not simply a mental habit, it is the mind's resistance to impermanence. It's the subtle, often unconscious refusal to accept that everything, every situation, every relationship, every breath, is subject to change. The Buddha taught that suffering arises when we cling to outcomes, identities, people, or even emotions. And worry is one of the ways clinging manifests. It tries to protect us by anticipating what's next, by mentally rehearsing scenarios in hopes of preventing pain. But in truth, worry does the opposite. It locks us into fear, tightens the mind, and disconnects us from the only moment that's real, this one. Imagine someone holding onto a burning coal, unwilling to let it go. Maybe they think it's valuable. Maybe they believe dropping it would mean failure. Or maybe they've held it so long, they no longer realize it's hurting them. This is what we do with worry. We carry it because we think it gives us control. We grip it because we think it keeps us safe. But the tighter we hold, the more it burns. And yet, we rarely question this grip. In our minds, worry often wears the disguise of love. I worry because I care, or responsibility, I have to think about the future. Or preparation, if I imagine every outcome, I'll be ready. But underneath it all is fear. Fear of losing what we have. Fear of not being enough. Fear of what we cannot see or predict. Worry is not love, it's fear wearing a mask. It doesn't protect us. It paralyzes us. Buddhism invites us to look closely at the nature of the mind, to see how thoughts come and go, how emotions rise and fall, and how nothing, absolutely nothing, stays the same. When we resist this truth, we suffer. When we embrace it, something begins to shift. We don't become passive. We become free. So instead of trying to fix the future with endless mental calculations, the practice is to come back to now. To soften the heart. To release the tight grip. This doesn't mean we don't plan or care. It means we do it with awareness, not from fear, but from clarity. One breath. One step. One honest look into what we're truly holding. Often, worry is not about the situation itself, but about the feeling we're trying to avoid. Uncertainty. Vulnerability. Powerlessness. But here's the truth, life was never meant to be controlled. It was meant to be lived, fully, openly, moment by moment. And to live in this way means learning to be with change, not against it. There's a powerful teaching in Buddhism, let go, or be dragged. When we refuse to accept change, we suffer twice, once from the experience itself, and again from our resistance to it. But when we let go, we don't lose control, we regain peace. The mind might ask, but if I don't worry, who will take care of things? And the answer is, you will, but from a calmer, clearer, more present place. Worry doesn't make you more responsible. It makes you less available, to yourself, to others, to the life that's unfolding right now. The next time worry arises, notice what you're holding on to. A story? An expectation? No emotion stays. And that's not something to fear, that's something to rest in. Because it means even this worry, no matter how strong, is impermanent too. Let that be a quiet doorway to peace. Mindfulness and the breath, returning to the present moment. In the turbulence of daily life, where worry and restlessness quietly seep into every thought, the breath, that seemingly smallest of things, becomes our anchor. a steady thread pulling us back from drifting too far into the waves of anxiety. Mindfulness isn't something distant or mysterious. It is simple, pure, and available to anyone. The act of returning to the present, through the breath. We often live as if we're racing against time, worrying about the future, regretting the past, forgetting that life only ever happens now. In this very moment. Each breath is a reminder that we're still alive. And when we truly pay attention to the breath, not controlling it, not forcing it, but simply noticing, we begin to return home to ourselves. At its core, worry is an outward movement of the mind. What will happen? Will it be okay? What if things don't go as planned? These thoughts pull us away from the present moment, making us feel as if we are living somewhere other than where life is actually unfolding. But the breath is always here. Not in the past. Not in the imagined future. Here, steady and unwavering, like a friend who never leaves your side. Try this. Pause. Take a deep inhale, and feel the cool air enter your body. Exhale slowly, releasing the tension you didn't know you were holding. Repeat 2 more times. Just 3 breaths. But if done with awareness, they can open a door to deep inner peace. This is the practice of 3 breaths to return, a simple yet powerful method. No special setting is required. No bells, no incense, no long hours. Just 3 breaths, taken with full attention. When you practice in this way, you are not trying to eliminate anxiety. You are simply turning inward. Returning. Mindfulness doesn't ask you to force positivity. It doesn't demand you to erase negative emotions. Instead, it invites you to observe, with gentleness and without judgment. When worry arises, imagine your mind as the vast sky and anxiety as a passing cloud. You don't need to chase the cloud away. Just recognize it's there, and, like all things, it will pass. Mindfulness changes your relationship with anxiety. Instead of fighting it, you step back and witness it with compassion. When you can see an emotion without getting swept up in it, space arises. And in that space, there is freedom. This practice also brings us into honesty with ourselves. Not pretending to be calm. Not forcing strength. Simply admitting, right now, I feel anxious. And then, returning to the breath. With time, the mind learns to pause before reacting. Instead of spinning in thought, it becomes present. No automatic reactions. No running away. Just presence, with everything that is. And something remarkable begins to happen. Even in the middle of an ordinary day, life begins to shine. The sound of birds. The way light filters through the leaves. The feel of air on your skin. All of it becomes vivid, alive. Because, as the ancient teachings remind us, the present moment is the only place where life truly happens. Not tomorrow. Not in the future. But now. You don't have to solve all of life's problems at once. You just have to be here, fully. For this moment. Then the next one. And the next. In mindfulness, there's no pressure to be perfect. Only the gentle call to be sincere. No need to control. Only to soften. No need to become someone else. Only to return to yourself. A mindful person is not someone who has no struggle. They're simply someone who chooses not to miss their life. They don't let the precious minutes slip away in a fog of thought. They come back, again and again, to the breath, the body, the moment. And the beautiful truth is, anyone can begin. Wherever you are. Whatever you're doing, you can pause, and take 3 mindful breaths. You don't have to wait for life to be less chaotic. You don't have to be more ready. You can begin right here. Because mindfulness isn't something to achieve. It's something that has always been here, waiting for you to come home. Impermanence, anicca. Everything will change, even your worries. Holding on to the future is an illusion. There's a quiet truth we often resist: nothing lasts. Not the joy, not the pain, not even the thoughts that keep us up at night. And yet, the mind tries to hold on, clinging to expectations, outcomes, and imagined tomorrows as if they were solid ground. But the Buddha pointed to something different. He invited us to see reality as it is, ever-changing, flowing, never fixed. In Pali, this is called anicca, impermanence. Worry arises when we forget this truth. We believe that if we just try hard enough, control enough, predict enough, we can make things stay the same, or at least turn out the way we want. But no matter how tightly we grip, life continues to shift. The more we hold on, the more we suffer. There's a well-known story in the Zen tradition. A young monk once asked his teacher, "Why do I feel so anxious all the time? Even though I meditate every day?" The teacher didn't respond immediately. Instead, he bent down and picked up a fallen leaf. He held it gently in his palm and said, "This leaf didn't resist the wind. It let go." Then he let the leaf fall again, watching it dance softly to the earth. When we resist change, he continued, we fall in fear. But when we let go, we fall in peace. Impermanence isn't just a concept to understand, it's an insight to embody. When we truly see that everything is in motion, our emotions, our thoughts, our circumstances, we begin to soften our grip. And that softening opens the door to peace. Think about the things you're worried about right now. Will they still matter in a year? In 5? Even if they do, can you be certain how they'll unfold? Most of our fear is rooted in the idea that things must go a certain way for us to be okay. But life has never worked like that. And somehow, we're still here. Still breathing. Still growing. The teachings ask us to look more deeply, not to deny our feelings, but to hold them with gentle awareness. To notice how they arise, and how they fade. Like waves on the ocean. Like clouds passing through the sky. Like that leaf on the wind. We don't have to force ourselves to let go all at once. We can start with something small. A thought. A plan. A version of the future we're clinging to. We can breathe with it. And in that breath, we can begin to release it. Because the truth is, the future isn't something we hold. It's something we meet, moment by moment, with open hands. Letting go, a quiet strength. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean you stop caring, or that life no longer matters. It means we're learning to stop holding on so tightly to things we cannot control. It means softening our grip on what was never ours to keep. Much of our suffering comes not from what's happening, but from how tightly we try to control it. We want life to go a certain way. We want people to stay, promises to be kept, futures to unfold exactly as we hope. And when life does what life always does, change, we resist, panic, break. But Buddhist wisdom offers us a different way. Not a path of indifference, but a path of release. Not a cold detachment, but a warm, steady trust in impermanence. Letting go begins in the mind, not the outer world. You can still love deeply, still show up fully. But without clinging. Without needing everything to go your way. A Zen proverb says, "Let go, or be dragged." And truly, when we refuse to release, life will eventually pull us forward anyway. But with much more pain. A practice of the heart. Letting go isn't something you do once and forget. It's a gentle, ongoing practice. Like unclenching your fist, breath by breath. You notice your fear, your need to control. To predict. You pause. And you say, kindly to yourself, I don't have to hold this so tightly anymore. Maybe it's an old regret. Maybe it's a future worry. Maybe it's someone who left without saying goodbye. Whatever it is, it lives in your body like tension, like tightness in the chest or jaw. And your breath, slow and aware, becomes the beginning of the release. A story of fire. There's an old story told in Buddhist circles. A person holds a burning coal, intending to throw it at someone who hurt them. But while waiting, they only burn themselves. And the longer they hold on, the deeper the pain becomes. Letting go is not about excusing harm. It's not about pretending something didn't matter. It's about choosing not to carry pain forward. It's about ending the cycle of suffering where you can. When you let go, you're not saying, "I don't care." You're saying, "I want to be free." How do we begin? With something small. A moment of silence instead of arguing. A conscious breath instead of another worry. A willingness to not know, to not control, to not fix. And in that space, something shifts. You realize you're still here. The world hasn't ended. And maybe, just maybe, there's more peace in surrender than in struggle. You start to trust what comes. Not because it's easy, but because resistance was costing you your peace. You begin to see that letting go is not weakness. It's clarity. It's the deep inner strength to meet life as it is. Not just as you wish it to be. Letting go is a sacred skill. It brings you back to the present. It empties your hands so you can receive the next moment fully. And it reminds you, the most precious things in life cannot be held, only experienced. So maybe, today, you can loosen your grip. Just a little. And breathe. That might be enough. Deep faith in karma, the invisible hand of cause and effect. Why do we cling so desperately to control? Why do we grasp at certainty, constantly asking ourselves, what will happen if? At the root of these questions is fear, fear of what we cannot predict, fear of what we cannot see. But there is a quiet truth nestled deep within Buddhist wisdom. That we don't need to control the future to trust in it. Karma is not a threat. It is not some punishment looming over our heads. It is the simple, profound truth that every action has a consequence. Every seed we plant today will bear fruit, someday. Some may sprout quickly. Others may lie hidden in the soil, waiting for the right season. But none are ever wasted. To live with deep faith in karma is to rest in the understanding that we are not powerless, but neither are we in total control. It means shifting our focus from trying to control what the outcome will be, to being fully responsible for what we put into this moment. Because what matters most is not how the story will end, but how truthfully we live each line of it. Each time we choose patience over anger, compassion over judgment, honesty over gain, we are sowing good seeds into the vast field of life. Even if the results do not come in the way we expect, the energy of those actions remains. No good deed is ever lost. No sincere effort is ever wasted. This is not blind optimism. It is grounded trust. A trust that says, I will live well today, not because I am promised a reward, but because that is what aligns with the truth of my being. Imagine a person walking through a forest, planting seeds with each step. They may never return to that forest. They may never sit under the trees they've planted. But still, they walk and plant, because it is the right thing to do. Living in alignment with karma is not about manipulating the future. It is about purifying our present. Our thoughts, speech, and actions become the ground where peace can blossom, regardless of what the world around us chooses to do. The suffering comes when we try to speed up the harvest. When we obsess over the results. When we ask, why haven't things changed yet? But life does not bloom on our timeline. Our task is not to rush nature, it is to keep planting the right seeds, again and again, in silence and trust. You may not see the fruit of your actions tomorrow, or next month, or even this year. But if they are rooted in kindness, truth, and clarity, they will never decay. What if peace doesn't come from knowing how things will unfold, but from knowing that we are walking the right path? To trust karma is to breathe easier. It is to soften the hand that clutches. It is to stop asking, what will I get from this, and start asking, what is the most truthful, loving step I can take right now? Let the future take care of itself. Let the results ripen in their own time. Your task is simple, though not always easy: plant good seeds, and let go. And if you fall, start again. Even the act of beginning again is a seed. No effort is ever wasted. Not in this life, not in this breath. The future doesn't need your worry, it needs your presence. As the Buddha taught, peace is not found in predicting tomorrow, but in fully embracing this moment. We chase after a tomorrow we cannot see, believing that if we just plan enough, prepare enough, worry enough, we'll finally feel safe. But what we often don't realize is that in the very act of worrying about what's to come, we're missing the only place where peace can ever truly be found: right here, right now. The mind thinks, what if things go wrong? But the Dharma asks, what if you are present enough to meet it with clarity? No one can guarantee what tomorrow will look like. Even the most detailed plans can dissolve in an instant. That's not something to fear, that's something to awaken us. To remind us that life has never been about control. It's about alignment. With truth. With values. With inner steadiness. When you live according to the Dharma, with compassion, integrity, presence, you don't need to obsess over the outcome. Because you know, every wholesome seed you plant today will bear fruit in its time. There is no need to grasp, no need to rush the harvest. The future isn't something to be feared. It's something to walk toward, step by step, with a steady heart. Each moment becomes a quiet offering. Each action a gentle prayer. May this be rooted in wisdom. May this be of benefit. Fear only takes root when we forget the strength of our present intentions. When we forget that our greatest power lies not in controlling the future, but in choosing how we show up now. So, breathe. Return to the ground beneath your feet. Feel the breath entering, leaving, without trying to change anything. Let this moment hold you. You don't need to fix everything all at once. You don't need to know what will happen a year from now. You just need to live this moment well. And from this still, rooted place, you'll move with greater clarity. You'll make decisions not from panic, but from presence. You'll learn to trust, not in what will happen, but in who you are as it happens. Because the future doesn't need your worry. It needs your presence. And your presence, steady, gentle, aware, is already enough. If this message brought you clarity and peace, don't keep it to yourself. Sometimes, a single sentence or a moment of insight can become a lantern for someone else walking through the dark. We all carry fears. Maybe it's the fear of losing someone we love. The fear that the future won't unfold the way we hope. The fear that no matter how hard we try, things might still fall apart. But do you know something? The moment you pause, take one gentle breath, and give yourself permission not to control everything. That's the moment you begin to let go. Not letting go of your dreams. Not letting go of your responsibilities. But letting go of the grasping, the pressure to know it all, hold it all, shape the future exactly as you planned. If something in this message helped soften your heart today, I invite you to pause and ask yourself, what is one fear about the future that I can begin to release, even just a little? Every comment you leave, even just a few words, may become comfort or encouragement for someone else who's walking the same path. Don't hesitate to write below. What's one fear about the future you're letting go of today? You'll find you're not alone. There are many of us learning how to slow down, to breathe more deeply, and to trust more fully in the present moment. And if this message meant something to you, please consider doing the following. Like this video to help share peaceful energy. Leave a comment so we can connect and reflect together. And subscribe to the channel to continue this journey of living mindfully, cultivating calm, and returning to what truly matters. Every subscription is more than support. It's a quiet promise whispered to your own heart. I choose to live more deeply. To be more present. To be more kind. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening with your whole heart. Thank you for not abandoning yourself, not even for a moment. The world is already rushing. Life is already asking too much. But as long as even one person pauses, breathes, and listens deeply, there is still hope. I'll see you in the next message, where every story is a seed of awareness. And every breath is a reminder that you don't need to be perfect to be at peace. You just need to show up, fully, truly, and gently.